Michael Vanen, Yoyston here, and I hope you all are doing well, wherever you are in Middle-earth. Today we are looking at the exact moment that Glorfindel fought, slew, and perished in a fight against a Balrog. Now, this is not just a straight reading of it, of course, but a summary, reading the quote and analysis of the passage, a full deep dive brought to life. This video is a literary analysis and discussion of The Fall of Gondolin by J.R.R. Tolkien. All excerpts used fall under fair use for the purpose of commentary, education, and analysis. Just wanted to put that little disclaimer here. My friends, thank you all so much for joining me today. Let's begin our tale. It was 510 of the First Age, and the son of Eol the Dark Elf and Erethel of the Noldor, Myglin, had betrayed the location of Gondolin to the forces of Morgoth. He had done this during his capture by the Evil Ones, but also for the lust he had for his own cousin Idril, and his desire for power within the city, as well as his desire to have his own freedom again. During the midsummer of that year, the massive army of Morgoth fell upon the elves of the last great stronghold in Beleriand, the hidden city of Gondolin. Many heroic feats were performed in this tale, the slaying of Gothmog by Ecthelion, Tur saving his family from Myglin, and many more. Yet, as the now refugees from the city went forth towards a secret pass made ready by Idril, the daughter of King Turgon and the wife of the man Tur, they traveled in secret away from the city, away from slaughter. Yet the pass was not wholly unguarded, for a small force made their way towards the pass, with a Balrog among them. Now for this video, I have found more detail in the Fall of Gondolin book, from page 125 to 126, at least in my version, than I did in the actual Silmarillion itself, which was more of a summary. And so, let's take a look. That Balrog that was with the rearward foe leapt with great might on certain lofty rocks that stood into the path on the left side upon the lip of the chasm, and thence, with a leap of fury, he was past Glorfindel's men and among the women and the sick in the front, lashing with his whip of flame. Then Glorfindel leapt forward upon him, and his golden armor gleamed strangely in the moon, and he hewed at that demon that had leapt again upon a great boulder, and Glorfindel after. Now there was a deadly combat upon that high rock above the folk, and these, pressed behind and hindered ahead, were grown so close that well nigh all could see. Yet was it over ere Glorfindel's men could leap to his side. The ardor of Glorfindel drave that Balrog from point to point, and his mail fended him from its whip and claw. Now had he beaten a heavy swinge upon its iron helm, now hewn off the creature's whip arm at the elbow. Then sprang the Balrog in the torment of his pain and fear full at Glorfindel, who stabbed like a dart of a snake. But he found only a shoulder, and was grappled, and they swayed to a fall upon the crag top. Then Glorfindel's left hand sought a dirk, and this he thrust up that it pierced the Balrog's belly nigh his own face, for that demon was double his stature, and it shrieked and fell backwards from the rock, and falling clutched Glorfindel's yellow locks beneath his cap, and those twain fell into the abyss. Now this was a very grievous thing, for Glorfindel was most dearly beloved, and lo, the dint of their fall echoed about the hills, and the abyss of Thorn Seer rang. Then, at the death cry of the Balrog, the orcs before and behind wavered, and were slain or fled far away. And Thorondor himself, a mighty lord, descended to the abyss, and brought up the body of Glorfindel. But the Balrog lay, and the water of Thorn Seer ran black for many a day far below in Tumladen. And that is our passage. Thus ended the life of Glorfindel. But his sacrifice shattered the morale of the enemy, rallying his own folk towards hope once more, ensuring that the last survivors of Gondolin could escape. Even in death, from this summary, his valor obviously reshaped the fate of Middle-earth. The Eldar, whenever a great good met a fury of great evil, would always recall this fight. After this, they would go on to raise a cairn over Glorfindel, and had a sad festival in the Land of Willows to remember and honor him. Glorfindel would, of course, go on to be reincarnated. A new body would be made for his spirit by the Valar, that he might return to Middle-earth and aid them once more. Without Glorfindel's sacrifice here, one he made with no worries for himself and only care for those whom he traveled with, the innocents of Gondolin, all might have been lost for the Free Peoples. With no Eärendil, there would be no Elrond, no line of kings in Númenor through Elros, but even worse than this, No Numenor or Middle-earth themselves, no Second Age, no aid from the Valar at the end of the First Age that saw the fall of Morgoth himself. Because Glorfindel saw beyond himself, perhaps in more ways than one, saw the purpose, at least in this moment, to use what strength he had to save those seemingly meek people, made all the difference in the end. The theme of sacrifice is of course at play here. Glorfindel gave what he could without hesitation, and in doing so, but without knowing that it would happen, the Valar would bring him back, as this was one of the few purely good, selfless, and entirely righteous things that any elf had done up to this point, or even afterwards. The Valar knew, without a doubt, that Glorfindel would serve as a hero again. This is also one of the only instances that we know of, at least directly, of one named free person slaying a Balrog, a literal Maya, servant of Melkor, older than even the elves, whose spirits are older than the world itself. The Valar and even Eru certainly favored Glorfindel that day. Beyond this, we also see just how great of a warrior he was, his capacity to shift his weaponry in combat, and fell a great foe even with so many innocents around that Glorfindel wished no harm upon, his ability to switch from a sword to a dirk in an instant, with no hesitation, and sacrifice himself, and using gravity to win this situation and save this band of refugees made all the difference, and it really, really did. As Tolkien presents in so many moments in the Legendarium, it's always about these little tasks, these little fights that one might not plan for, the small hope that could be brought by acting courageously and morally in every situation we are given as a chance to prove that good can triumph over evil. Manwë himself was watching, as he had sent the Lord of the Eagles to retrieve the body of the elf from the chasm. Glorfindel was the people's champion, the people's victory, and he used his strength in the time that he was given. And throughout all of Gondolin's history, he was that hero, and certainly was here as well. To wrap this up, from this tale we see what we must do in times of strife, particularly when we have the power to fight against it. We must meet evil unflinchingly, and know that from our strength, from our sacrifices, good must come. We must have faith that it is so. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this Brought to Life. If you did, please hit that like button and share this with a friend. What other Brought to Life videos would you like to see? Let me know in the comments below. Again, I love summarizing, going through the passage, and analyzing all of it, really breaking it down, the small moment where I can bring it to life with a bit more of editing. So let me know what you'd like to see with a continuation of this series. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider getting some candles from our friends Mythologie Candles, who just came out with some new candles based on the members of the Fellowship. Or order some Weta or United Cutlery, Lord of the Rings swords, statues, and other replicas from Castle Con, who does international shipping, and use the code WEST at checkout, and please check out our merch. Join our memberships and Patreon for access to our Discord server and our monthly podcast. Thanks to our Valar tier patrons and YouTube members for continuing to keep the channel afloat. Ed Patterson, Comic Nut 64, Brian Hunley, Peter Sheppard, John Hume, Rhys Jenkins, Arthur Merlin, Theodore, Zoomi, Todesmorgen, and Joby Weasel. Thank you all so much. Please subscribe to join the Men of the West, and I'll see you all again next time. My friends, thank you all so much for joining me on this adventure. Until the next one.